So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to first work on the design further, and then I'm going to display the product information on the right side. First of all, in the single product, I'm going to give the section, I'm going to give this section, I'm going to give it the bootstrap class, the container. I'm going to say here container. Why? Because if I give it the container, you'll find that if I refresh, you'll find that it will fit the screen perfectly. As you can see, there will be here more space, and the slider was removed. Now let's work on this area. Let's here display information about this product, such as the product details, the quantity, the add to cart button, all of these things. And to do this, remember below this div and inside this raw, which is this div, we need to create another div. We need here to say div, and this div is gonna have class, and that class will have column large 6 for large screens. For medium screens, I'm gonna give it 12 columns. For small screens, you can give it 12. Let's give it 12. By the way, you can say here call 12 without saying SM, which means that by default it's gonna take 12 columns in case the screen is doesn't fit, is not considered large, and is not considered medium either. It will take 12 columns. So here inside this div, first I'm going to display h6, and then I'm going to say here home, for example, or men, let's say men, shoes, and then I'm going to display h3, and in this h3 I'm going to display the some text, let's say the category, for example, men's fashion. And I'm going to give this a class py4, padding top and bottom 4. Next, I'm going to work on the price. So below this h3, we need to display the price. I'm going to say here h2, and then I'm going to display the price. Here I'm going to say price, any price you want. And then below this price, I'm going to display the input, and that input will display the number of products. I'm going to say input, and inside this input we need to give it first a type. The type will be a number because this is a number, and value. The value is 1. Because by default, we would expect the user to buy only one item, and therefore we need to say here 1. And below this, I'm going to display a button. I'm going to say here button, and then for this button, I'm going to say add to cart, and I'm going to give it a class. That class is going to be by button, which the button that we already have, and we can use another class if we want, or we can edit this class. I'm going to show you another method of editing the design of this button, but first let me show you how this looks like. Now if I refresh, as you can see, we have here, it says men section, men shoes, and then men fashion, and then here 155, which is the price, and then here the 1, which is the quantity. Here you can increase the quantity and the add to cart button. But of course we need to work on the design, and also we need to display the details. So first let's display the details below this button. Below this button, I'm gonna here say h4. Below the button, and I'm going to say here product details. Let's give this h4 plus margin top 5 and margin bottom 5, and below it I'm going to display the text. So I'm going to say here span, and inside that span I'm going to display the details. I'm going to say here the details So this is just this text is just for the sake of testing, and later we can edit this text. Let me here click on File and then Save All, and let me show you how this would look like. So if I refresh, as you can see, this is how it's gonna look like. However, we need to fix the design of this. Of course, the design is not that good. Let's work on the design. So I'm gonna head on over to the style.css, and in the style.css, what we want to do is that we want to work on the button, and we want also to work on the input. We need to fix the input. So I'm going to start by fixing the input. So the input here has a outline here colored in blue, and I want to remove this. To remove this, I'm going to say here single product. Remember the big section class is single product. So I'm going to say here dot single product, and then I'm going to access the input. I'm going to say input, and then I'm going to say here focus, and then I'm going to remove the outline. I'm going to say outline none. Now if I refresh and here if I click here inside, the borders or the outline was removed. Let's work on the design of that input. So I'm going to say here dot single product, and then input, the input itself. Now let's fix the width. So the width, as you can see, the width is too big. We don't want this. We want it to be much smaller. So I'm going to change the width. I'm going to say here width. So the width would be only, let's say 50 px only. And then I'm going to change also the height to 40%, 40 px. And I'm going to change also the padding and the font. So for the padding left, we want to add padding left because as you can see, the number is very close to the left side, and we want to shift that number a little. Next, I'm gonna change the font size. So the font size would be 16 px. And finally, I'm gonna add margin right 10 px, because I want here some space. Let me refresh and show you how this is gonna look like. As you can see now, this input looks perfect now. The number is very clear and big enough for the user to see, and the box itself is very good in terms of its dimensions. This is for the input. Let's work on the button. So for the button, remember this button. The button, I'm gonna change the color of this button. So instead of displaying this button in black, I'm gonna display it in orange. So I'm gonna say here dot single product, and then dot buy button, and then I'm gonna work on this. Remember that we already have a class called buy button, but if I just access the buy button one more time without saying single product, this is gonna ruin the original design of the buy button. Therefore, we need to say single product and then buy button, or we can create a new class. So you have two options. You can create a new class called add to cart, for example, or you can use here single product and then buy button. So you can here If you don't want to be confused, if you don't want to get confused, you can here say add to cart button. But add to cart button is going to be a very long word, therefore I'm just going to say buy button. So I'm going to say here buy button. But you need to know that this buy button, since I said single product, it's inside the single product page. Let's change now the background color. I'm going to say background color. So the background color is going to be the orange color that I have already used earlier. And I'm gonna change the opacity to 1. I want the opacity to be 1, and I want transition of 0.4 seconds all. Let's save and refresh, and as you can see, it's gonna be orange. It's gonna be orange. Let's also change the hover. So I'm gonna add a hover effect to it. I'm gonna say single product dot buy button, and then hover, and I'm going to change this to, I'm going to change the background. I'm going to say background. So the background color, if I hover over it, let's use this color. So as you can see, if I hover over it, it's going to be like this. So this is how it's going to look like. I think it looks amazing, and you might think that this area is too big. It's not actually too big because we don't have here text, but when we have here a lot of text, it's not going to be that big. So here, let me show you what I mean. So here, we need to add this text many times, so let me add this text 4 or 5 times. I'm going to paste it here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we have a lot of text here, and we should have a lot of text that describes this product. As you can see, the area is not it's not large because now we have a lot of text. So this is how it's going to look like. Now what we want to do is that we want to display the related products below this. So in order to do this, we need to get the products, the code that we already have created. So if we go back, you will find that if you go back to the, remember, if you go back to the index, let me go to the index. So if you go to the index, which is the home page, you'll find that we already have this featured section. We can use this featured section in the single product to display the related products. So I'm gonna head on over to the index, and in the index, remember we have here the featured. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna close it first, and then I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna paste it in the single product.html below this section. Below this single, I'm gonna say here single product. So below this single product, I'm gonna paste this featured, and then I'm gonna change first. Here, instead of featured, I'm gonna say related products. Related products. And I'm gonna here say ID related products. Related products. And here I'm gonna say related products, and I'm gonna remove this paragraph. I don't need this paragraph here. And let me close this section, and let's save and head on over to the browser and refresh. And as you can see, we will have this related products displayed here, which looks amazing. Below, it's gonna be below this, below the single product area here.